Well, good morning, everybody. This is DearMamaSal on a very pretty Wednesday morning. It is 9 degrees here in southern British Columbia, which I think is about 48 in America. Let me check. Yep, 49. Getting better. And I'm very... I just saw a seagull. I'm sorry. There was a seagull sort of flying towards me. And, you know, there's that minute where you wonder... please, you know, do some lift or something because I don't want you crashing into me. And then just before it got level with me, it pooped, and I went, "Oh, thank you for that. Thank you for pooping before you got near my car." Now, of course, there's some that'll say that's an omen. It's going to be a shitty day. You see, I saw it quite the opposite. I thought that I'm going to be escaping a lot of strange things today. And I got the sniffs. Right, so... I thought I'd talk a bit today. You know, we were talking about disappointment yesterday. And I wondered whether you'd like some tools as to how to change the thinking. You know, I've talked about reframing before, but not for a while. So maybe we're due for another reframing chat. The easiest thing in the world is to beat up on yourself and drag yourself down. I realize now, as I am this much older, and I have experienced so much more than many, that a lot of the misery and disappointment I had in my life was self-inflicted. It was because of my, as I said yesterday, because of my expectation of myself or of others particularly. And I can't help thinking that I could have had a much different life had I realized this earlier. Now, I'm not for a moment regretting the life I've had, because I believe the life that I've had brings me to this point of being able to help a lot of other people. You see, it was because I did it so wrong in so many different areas that I have wisdom today. I heard that somewhere, that what wisdom is, you know, if you make enough mistakes, you gain wisdom. And I'm not sure that I'm that wise, although some seem to think so, but I just believe that I know what not to do anymore. Doesn't mean that I don't do it. It means I do have a better idea of what not to do. So last night, for example, I was thinking about what have I done in my life when I've been disappointed or upset. Well, I guess one thing to have a look at is what is the antonym or the opposite of disappointment. I didn't look that up. I'm certain that that word will be very interesting. I will look it up, obviously, when I go to do this vlog. But my feeling is that if you can understand the antonym of any emotion that you have, always check out what is the opposite of it, and then start working on that. The same as I found out that my 3 greatest weaknesses were, in some ways, my 3 greatest strengths. And that was a big eye-opener for me, because I'd always been held back by the fact that I had these weaknesses. And yet, when somebody managed to show me that they could in fact be my 3 greatest strengths that I didn't realize, I sort of went, really? Well, that opens up a whole new ball of wax, doesn't it? So let's have a look at this disappointment thing. And I realized that a lot of the time, whenever I was in a negative emotion, I tried to work on positive emotions. And one of the things that I do, and I don't know if any of you do this, but I actually will check a whole list of positive adjectives. And I know I've talked about this once before, at least once before, but it's important to repeat it because it's part of how I reframe. So let's say that I'm feeling like a loser. I don't know if any of you have ever felt like that, but I sure as heck have. So let's say I'm feeling a bit like a loser. Well, what I will do is I will sit in front of a list of positive adjectives, and if you're going, well, where do you find that list? Well, I just search online, positive adjectives. I'm not what I call super smart here. And then I start reading the list, and this is how I do it. It normally starts with the A's and works its way down. And I'll just give you a few examples. Let's say that it's got adventurous, admirable, amiable, brilliant. It'll have. And then I'll just say like this. I'll start my day by going, now what would an adventurous, amiable, adventurous, brilliant mind want to do today? And I want to tell you something. You cannot continue to feel like a loser when you talk to yourself like that. I mean, you may burst out laughing, which I do regularly, but, it just totally reframes you. Now, if halfway through you go, yeah, but I'm not that, then start again. Yeah, but what if I were? After if and wish comes were, my mummy's shouting at me. What if you were an adventurous, amiable, adorable? I could go on for a long time on this one. Now, the other thing I do that works really well for me is when I'm aware that I have procrastinated about something and disappointed in myself for my lack of action. Don't know if any of you have that come up, but I do that quite often. I'm good at procrastination. I actually wrote a speech about it, the power of positive procrastination, because I was so good at it. And I'm amazed how many people kept attending it too. I knew they had a sense of humor. Pat would be proud of me. So, so I look at it and I go, if I'm procrastinating, I will say to myself, if they paid you $1 million to get this done, could you? And the answer normally is, sure. So then it's about, I would do it for the money. So why don't I just do it? I know how to do it. Or then, maybe I say, well, I don't know how to do it. Yes, but if they paid you $1 million, do you think you'd find a way? And quite honestly, my answer is yes. There are very few things that if you think of it in those terms that your mind won't come up with a possible answer. And by the way, if you haven't got one, then phone somebody who might. There you go back to the whole thing of 5 degrees of separation. You just need to make a couple of calls and say, I'm trying to find a way to do X, Y, and Z. Do you know anybody who can do that? And if the answer is no, do you know anybody who might know somebody who can do that? And they'll normally say, oh, try Jane. She's quite well connected with people like that, or whatever. So I think a lot of disappointment is, it's very easy. It's very easy to get sucked into disappointment, isn't it? It's very easy to beat up on yourself. It's very easy to feel like a loser for some reason. I've got somewhere in my house, I have a little book, and it's a book of quotations. And I don't know if you've ever done this, but I sort of read some of these quotations, and then one day I turned a page and there was this incredible quotation. And it came from some guru, literally. The guru, blah, 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 began with a B. It went on forever. I could never pronounce it, so I'm not even going to try. But what the guru said, which I thought really sort of hit me, was, be realistic, plan for a miracle. And I love that. Be realistic, plan for a miracle. And I can't remember what it was that particular day that I found that it just stopped me cold. And I went, wow. Okay. Let me do that. So how do I change my thinking? I do something to change my thinking. I don't magically wait for it to come upon me or take the pills that will help settle me down. I actually do something. I keep saying time and time again to people, you know, you don't think your way out of these things. You need to do your way out. Whether it's disappointment or mild depression or heartache or whatever, you know, you can't think your way out. You have to do something to help you get out. And it can be something really simple, like go for a walk in nature. Or I can remember once somebody absolutely breaking my heart. That was a big disappointment. Really big disappointment. And I knew that if I held that pain inside, I would probably be pretty darn sick. And I thought, what can I do to release the pain? And what I did was I went down to a lonely beach that I knew. And I sat on a log on my own on this beach. And I screamed. I don't mind telling you. I had a few words with the person who had just broken my heart. I had a few words for God that weren't very polite, and I don't mind admitting that. Because you know, how on earth could he let that happen to me? Because it's always his fault when it goes wrong. And I had, you know, I went, oh, I really had to go. Now, if anybody had heard me, they probably would have wrapped me up in white clothes and taken me off to a loony bin. But I needed to do that to get rid of the anger that I had. And I really did have so much anger. So let's go one step back again. How do you change the thinking? Let's go back to the antonyms, the opposite. So in order to find the opposite, you need to find out what is the thought that you have. Are you sad? Are you angry? Are you whatever? So it's a really good idea to get your truth down. Because once you've got all the negatives, then you can work on the opposite of those. I would imagine that the opposite of disappointment is pleasure. I'm disappointed in you, I'm pleased with you. Why do I think that might be the antonym? Anyway, so let's say that it is, and as I said, I will look it up. Then what can I do so I'll be pleased with myself? Well, I need to do something that is an achievement. Well, maybe I'll pick some things up off the floor. That'll make me pleased with myself. You know, if that's the case. You know. Or if I'm angry, the opposite of angry, happy. Or whatever. In my case, I would say it's happy. So what do I need to do to make myself happy? Well, I think I will bake cookies. Now, the reason that baking cookies is a good idea is because you use a lot of senses. You use your creativity, which, as you know, it's always whenever you use that side of your brain, it will help change your mood. But also, you've got the beautiful aromas of cooking cookies, or in my case, burnt cookies. I do that well. Let's say I'm feeling like a loser. Well, the opposite of that would be feeling like a winner. What would make me feel like a winner right now? And what came to mind was if I went for a walk. Interesting. So that's another little exercise you can do, which is keep those positive things and write down what actions make you feel that emotion. What actions make you feel happy? What actions make you feel like a winner? What actions make you feel loved? What actions make you feel anything, you know, and you need to write those down. Now you can say, well, I've just had my heart broken, so I'm not going to feel very loved. Yeah, but there are other people that love you. Now, some of you are lucky to have family that love you, or friends that love you. Or maybe it's the dog, the cat, the gerbil. I don't care. Something out there loves you. And for those of you who have faith, God loves you. When everybody else is gone, yeah, this was God. Even though he has some funny ways of showing it sometimes, in my view. So, again, I remind you, I am not perfect at this, but it does work for me when I bother to do it. And let's say you're totally overwhelmed. Well, what's the opposite of overwhelm? From my experience, let's say if I'm overwhelmed at work, the opposite of overwhelm at work is being in the groove. When I take control of the chaos. And maybe that's taking half an hour and getting everything into piles of types of work. My friend Yvonne calls it kachunkas. And then deciding to spend 1 hour a day on each of the kachunkas, you know, doing an hour on this pile, an hour on this pile, an hour on this pile, and an hour on this pile, or, you know, different jobs. And it's amazing how much you get through if you prioritize each pile. And for those of you who don't know how to do that, I find it works really well if you do it. Literally, if it's 9 o'clock, then this is what I start doing. If it's 10 o'clock, I need to move on to this one. and literally pace your day. Now, so those of you who are not at work but maybe at home, you know, if it's 9 o'clock, I clean something in the bathroom. If it's 10 o'clock, sorry, I've got a learner driver in front of me, so I'm being extra aware here. But you get the idea. So disappointment can disappoint you, but what our job is to take control. Everybody gets disappointed. I don't care how brilliant you are. Everybody gets disappointed. What is health, in my view, is how long do we let it carry on for? Is it a split second? Or is it the next 3 months? Or is it the next year that we're going to be disappointed? Because if you can literally go, okay, that disappointed me, move on. Now, that's easier said than done in some cases, I understand, but do you realize how different your life would be if you could acknowledge the disappointment and then just go, okay, that was disappointing. I had expected a slightly different result. Let's move on. Now let me give you an example. I could give you DearMamaSal. And it's interesting because I had expected something on DearMamaSal in terms of subscribers at this level, which didn't happen. Now, I could say I'm a total loser, and I'm not. But what I decided was, okay, fine, I'm not quite sure why I'm on this plateau in terms of subscribers. Part of it has to do with the fact that when I pick up subscribers, I pick up thousands at a time. You know what I mean? I'll pick up 1,000 subscribers or 2,000, and then I'll spend the next 6 months or whatever dropping down, which is very disappointing. Why? Because the ones I picked up weren't my natural subscribers. And then I'll pick up another whole stack. And then I'll spend another 6 months losing half of them. So I have to remember that that's the pattern that I've had all along. Now, the interesting thing is, all the forecasts tell me that we will not hit 1 million views until October of 2017 or something. And I'm going, what do they know? I think we can hit 1 million views this year. You see, that's what keeps me going. Now, if we don't, will I be disappointed? No, I'll just say, oh, well, then perhaps the pundits were right. But I work. I plan for a miracle. I plan to hit 1 million views this year. That's my mentality. Go figure. This is DearMamaSal saying, big hugs. Have a good one. Bye-bye for now.